For years, industry chatter suggested PHP was on the way out. In 2026, the structural reality of the web tells a different story. This graph tracks the divide. While the legacy perception trends down, PHP's actual market share is holding steady at 74%, dwarfing competitors like Ruby and Node.js. This isn't just about old sites staying online. It's driven by a rapid modernization of the core engine, making the language faster and more secure than it was even 2 years ago. Since the language itself is no longer the bottleneck, the primary risk to a new project is choosing an architecture that doesn't align with your performance needs. PHP 8.5 introduced a technical shift in how the language handles memory, centered around a feature called lazy objects. Traditionally, heavy frameworks wasted resources by loading every background tool into memory on every page request, whether they were needed or not. In this node map, you can see the change. With lazy objects, a tool only wakes up and consumes memory at the exact moment it's used. For complex applications, this shift can reduce memory usage by up to 50%, which directly lowers the hardware requirements for your VPS. With the core language now highly optimized, your choice of framework, alongside your database and caching strategy, becomes the primary factor in your site's speed and server costs. First, we have the heavyweights. These are full-stack frameworks that prioritize how quickly a developer can build a feature over raw server efficiency. Laravel 13 is the leader here, with over 83,000 GitHub stars and a massive ecosystem of pre-built tools. Laravel focuses on developer experience. It uses clear code structures that AI assistants like Claude and Cursor can parse easily, allowing teams to ship features faster. This comparison matrix highlights the trade-off. You get unmatched developer speed, but the performance overhead is moderate, meaning you'll need robust caching to maintain high speeds. If you're building for a strict enterprise environment, Symfony 8.0 is the alternative. Symfony is component-based. It's built for large-scale systems where security and predictable error catching are more important than initial setup speed. The trade-off is complexity. Your team will deal with a steeper learning curve and a more rigid configuration process. Heavyweights make sense when developer payroll and time to market are bigger bottlenecks for your company than server capacity. Traditional PHP hits a limit when you have thousands of users hitting the server simultaneously. The Spiral framework addresses this by acting as a hybrid, combining PHP's ease of use with the high concurrency power of the Go language. Spiral uses long-running daemons. Instead of the application starting and stopping on every click, it stays active in memory to handle requests instantly. However, this isn't a drop-in replacement. You'll be working with a much smaller pool of third-party packages compared to the giants like Laravel. If you need Go-like performance but want to keep your logic in PHP, Spiral is the choice, provided your team is ready to move away from traditional request cycles. If you only need a high-speed API, Microframeworks strip away everything but the bare essentials to maximize throughput. Slim is the modular industry standard, while FlightPHP is built with a strict zero-dependency philosophy to stay as light as possible. This bar chart shows the impact of that minimalism. Where Slim reaches about 73,000 requests per second, FlightPHP rockets past 190,000 in raw throughput. To get that speed, you lose the plumbing. There are no built-in database layers or templating engines, just the router and the request handler. Your engineers will have to manually build and integrate every security and data layer themselves. That manual work can become a maintenance burden as the project grows and more developers join the team. Microframeworks offer the highest hardware efficiency, but they require you to sacrifice almost every modern developer convenience to reach it. Picking a framework in 2026 comes down to matching the architecture to your project's primary goal. On this flowchart, a SaaS startup follows the path to Laravel 13. Here, rapid development and AI assistance outweigh the server overhead. For enterprise systems needing strict standards, the path leads to Symfony 8.0. For a high-traffic RESTful API, FlightPHP is most efficient. At this scale, every additional dependency slows down the response time, making minimalism a requirement. Mapping technical requirements to your business outcomes narrows the selection down to the architecture that best supports your team's constraints. There is a direct trade-off between how fast your developers can work and how many requests your server can handle per second. Use heavyweight frameworks when your biggest expense is developer time. Switch to microframeworks when the cost of scaling your server hardware becomes the primary bottleneck. Modern PHP infrastructure scales reliably into either extreme, as long as the architecture matches your specific performance goals. The best framework in 2026 isn't the one with the most stars, it's the one that solves your team's specific technical and financial constraints.